How I sold 168,000 books and left millions on the table. Hey, Tom Matson here once again, Chief Movement Maker at the Entrepreneur Empowerment Institute, with one of my most expensive lessons learned that I want to pass on to you and hopefully help save you similar amounts of money in the future, because this was an expensive one. It was definitely an expensive one. And it was actually quite a good one on the surface. I published my first book. This is it here. How to Start and Run a Coffee Bar. In fact, I went on Google today and I put in the phrase start and run a coffee bar, and 500 million pages came up. And then I put in the exact title and 168,000 pages came up. Super proud. We've actually sold more copies of this book than every other book in the same category added up, according to my publisher. Now some 168,000 copies of the book. But here's the thing. I didn't know how to monetize a book properly at that time. I didn't know how to negotiate a contract with them either. I didn't even get the ebook rights. Ebooks were out then, but just barely, and I didn't even get the rights to that. So in fact, they didn't even get the rights to that. That's how early it was. No one could do it. And so it was a complete monetary disaster in the back end of the book. The front end, it was a massive success. It was a massive success, and it sold all over the world. It's been translated to multiple languages. At one point, I was 4,230 on Amazon's books sold ranking. That means of the millions and millions of books in the world, it was the 4,000 most sold book. I just checked today, and it's now in 898,000 or something like that. So it's still in the top million, but nowhere near where it was. But that's not bad for a book that was put out in 1997. But here's the thing. Because I had no back end, because I had no high ticket program strategy like I now know, I wasn't able to monetize the book anywhere near I could have. And so I want to give you the insights that if you're thinking of putting out a book, you should absolutely make sure you do this first. And that is, think about your strategy, your back end behind the book. And what our advice is, create a high ticket, high margin, high impact program, ideally that guarantees results for your clients. If I had put that together based on the number of books sold and the number of email inquiries I got from that book, I would have sold somewhere between $10 and $40 million worth of high ticket programs. Every time I do the math on it, I'm just cringing at that. Now, to be fair, I was out of that business. I wasn't building coffee bars anymore. I had built 187 of them. I built more independent coffee bars than anyone in the world, but I wasn't doing it anymore. So part of it was I wasn't motivated to develop a high ticket program, but part of it was I didn't really understand high ticket programs then. And so what are the keys for you to develop that high ticket program? There are 5 of them. The first is you got to solve big problems. Excuse me. If you're going to create a high ticket program, you need to solve big problems. You need to make sure that they're problems that people will pay $10,000 and up for, that solve a 6 or a 7-figure problem, or even an 8-figure problem if you can. And those big problems are the following 5. Help people make money, help people save money, help people stay out of jail or compliance in the B2B world, have a better life, and have better relationships. Those are the big 5. We find those are the best to focus on. Make sure you can solve big problems. Sometimes you have to complete or extend or add other components to make that work. Next, your job is to bring order from chaos. And so what does that mean? That means you need to simplify the complex issues around this topic. This is something I did the exact opposite early on in my career. In fact, I remember giving a talk at the International Franchise Expo, my first time speaking at the largest show in the world. And it was called The 123 Secrets of Selecting a Great Franchise. And it was a 30-minute breakout. So that's the exact opposite of bringing order from chaos. Now, we want you to group all of your ideas into 5 areas, 5 steps, 5 stages, we call it. And that's, if you've got a 12-step process to doing something, we're not saying cut out 7 of them. We're saying group them together so that maybe stage 4 is do these 6 things or 7 things, right? So put it all together in 5 and then have what we call finish lines and prizes for each of the stages. We learned this from IBM. IBM long-term contracts every 3 months, they'd ring a bell and celebrate a win. There'd be a finish line and a prize, a finish line and a prize every 3 months. Well, we can take a page out of IBM's strategy, and in our program, every stage should have a finish line, clearly defined area where we're done, and a prize. We know what it's worth or why we're doing it. So a good example in the early part of programs is maybe a roadmap. One of our programs, we call it the More Profit and More Life Roadmap. And the prize is confidence knowing you're going to be able to hit your money goals or your business goals or your impact goals, right? So there's an early stage one. A later stage one would be a measurable outcome, right? So in our $1 million book launch program, we guarantee $1 million in sales by the end of stage 5. So stage 5 is $1 million in sales. That's the finish line and that's the prize. So you want to have a finish line and a prize in each of the 5 stages. And of course, you want to name your process. You want to come up with a name for your process and claim it. We used to sell high ticket, high impact, high margin programs. And we realized, it's such a game changer for people. Let's call it that. So now we call it the Game Changer Program. And we have the Game Changer Program Academy where we give out scholarships, and we have the Game Changer Program Inner Circle, and we have Game Changer Program training inside. There's a whole bunch of elements involved. So bringing order from chaos is important. Number 3 is our belief, which is do good and make money at the same time. If you can, you want to build in what we call a transformational contribution program like Tom's Shoes or 4 Ocean Bracelets, where every time you buy a product, they do some good in the world. We can talk more about that on another video if you like and get into that. It's an awesome way to build your business, but you also build raving fans for your business at the same time. Number 4 is guarantee results. Guarantee results. One of the largest trainers in the world, his internal data is that 97% of the people don't complete his courses. 97%. If you tried to sell that in any other industry, they would lock you up. Can you imagine in a restaurant if 97% of the people that bought lunch never got lunch? They would literally put you in handcuffs and take you away. But in the information training world, that's considered best practices. Well, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. And so we teach a method that allows you to literally guarantee results so that the vast majority of the compensation is linked to the results your clients get. And it's more work to do it that way, absolutely, but it's way more powerful. And frankly, way easier to sell, way easier to sell. We'll talk more about that in another video. And the last piece is to make it scalable. If you're going to sell a program, it should be scalable. I learned a lot of money doing this the wrong way early on, and now I will only sell a scalable program. 5 components: virtual training, group coaching, not one-on-one, masterminds, done right, the greatest force for good in business. Next is scalable, done for you services. Not just done for you services, but scalable done for you services. And the last one, live events and workshops. The last 2, not every program will have, but every program will have the first 3: virtual training, group coaching, which is really one-on-one coaching in a group setting, if you think about how it happens. And you're the star, or your coaches are the star. And then masterminds, where the participants are the star and they're sharing the collective wisdom. So those are the 5 steps to creating your own game changer program. Learn from my mistakes. If you're going to put a book out, make sure you've got a high ticket program supporting the work that your book is doing so that you can actually monetize the good work that you do and have way more impact in the world. All right. Make sense? Good stuff. We'll see you again on the next Facebook Live.